Technology.
All right. So, Tiffany, do you want to do your announcements?
I would love to do that. Hello. I think I know all of you. Jenny, my name's Tiffany Vollmer. I'm the president of Women in Film this year. We've got a couple other board members on here. Of course, you know Gail. You've been chatting with her. And Abby Killen is our membership chair.
Thanks for your patience.
I'm sure we'll have more people joining us. I'm going to ask everyone to go ahead and put their mute yourselves, please. I'm going to make some quick announcements. I'm going to hand it to Gail, and then we're going to give it over to Jenny. So we would like to welcome Jenny to this evening to give a talk to us about her career path and some of the struggles and some of the wonderful things she's been able to accomplish in her career. Next Women's Workup Wednesday is August 17th. Everybody mute yourselves. I want to hear your dogs, even though they're cute.
That's my dog.
I've never even met your dogs, but I'm assuming that they're cute. Okay, August 17th is the next Women's Workup Wednesday at Halcyon. Also be looking out, we're going to have a happy hour this month. It's going to be at Swizzle down on Lower Greenville Avenue. They got back to me and they're super excited to have us. That will be Wednesday, August 31st from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. And they're going to come up with a drink special for us and make it worth our while to come out there and support their business. We recorded season 2, episode 3 of We're Just Saying, starring myself and Gail Cronauer. And this month we were able to sit down with Meg Gould, who is the head of Dallas Creative Industries. She's kind of taken over as the film commissioner part since our friend Janice Berkland has stepped down. It was a really informative interview. All the questions I've always wanted to ask about what does a film commission do? And why is it so important? And all the things, we have those answers for you. And it's a really good interview. So be looking out for that. That should be coming out anytime now. Also, Abby Killen is in charge of our next newsletter, which is another way to reach you. You don't want to hear me and Gail talk. You can see what Abby has to say in the newsletter. As always, we are looking for success stories and things that you have accomplished throughout the month that you would like us to announce. If you have a premiere or something coming up, send that to Abby Killen. And that would be at membership at wifddallas.org. And let's see. September 17th is a very big day for Women in Film Dallas. We are going to be having our Women's Symposium, which is creating momentum. We have got an amazing list of wonderful women in this industry that are, have just leaders and ladies that have done amazing work over their careers that will be speaking on various topics. The first part of our symposium will be focused on second part of the script, safety. Oh my gosh, we're going to talk about set safety. And then the second part of our symposium will be script to screen, where we really talk about production and acting and unions and how to get distribution, all of those things, which will be super exciting to learn about. And then our final will be about self, which as women, self-care is very important. So we have to learn how to take care of ourselves, not overextending, making sure we're making time for us in this crazy industry that we work in, and making sure that we're staying healthy at the same time. So if you would like to be on the board, or on the committee, I should say, for the symposium, we definitely need volunteers. We meet on Wednesdays at 3 p.m. via Zoom. If you would please leave your name in the chat that you would be interested in. We're going to need people to check people in and take tickets. We're going to need people to help with lunch. We're going to need people to help set up. The board has a heavy load. We're also working professionals. So anytime we can get help from the membership, we'd really appreciate that. And I think that's all. Gail, do you have anything from WIFD US or WIFD International that you would like to share?
There is an event coming up. Wait, there is an event coming up on August the 18th, which we've sent you an announcement about. We are working in conjunction with the Holocaust and Human Rights Museum here in Dallas. And they will be showing the documentary Final Account, which is about the last generation of people who were alive in Germany during the Third Reich, and what they did and what they didn't do. So they are showing the film in person at the museum in Dallas at 7:00. At 8:30, there is a Zoom discussion featuring local filmmaker Bart Wise, who is a Dallas treasure, and an historian, speaking about the subject matter of the film. It is only being Zoomed to Women in Film and Women in Film Television members. So go to the link that you got in the email and register. You can also go on their website and register, okay?
And might I suggest you bring a box of Kleenex?
So that's
subject matter, heavy subject matter. Might want to bring a box of Kleenex.
Okay. Down the road, we have Leisha with us. Just a reminder that the Topaz Film Festival, they are working long and hard to have an amazing festival for us, which will happen in October, Halloween weekend, new date. So stay tuned.
It's going to be very exciting. The first part, I believe, is going to be virtual, and then we're going to have in-person events. And how much fun is it to create hype and fun around that type of a holiday? So there'll be lots of things to do, and they're working on it. Leisha, did you want to say anything else about the film festival? Okay.
Nope.
No, Gail said it all. There are some amazing programs, so just make sure you book that off on your calendar so you can come see the amazing films that we had an opportunity to screen, and which Gail is one of the programmers. So thanks so much.
Thank you so much. All right, so I'm going to hand it over to Gail to introduce Jenny, and then we'll come back for a closing little goodbye thing. Listen, do me a favor, everybody, if you could please just leave your questions for Jenny in the chat, and then Gail and I will moderate as she comes to a conclusion with what she has to share with us.
Okay, so I'm going to put Jenny on speaker view, and if you could also, what would be helpful for the recording is if you're not speaking, if you could turn your camera off too. Like right now, Tiffany, I only have you on the camera. I don't have anybody else. So that's great, but you already spoke. So if the rest of you can turn your cameras off, then hopefully we can get a hold of Jenny in just a moment. Okay. So it's not allowing us to do that. All right. So, well, we'll see what this is. Okay, maybe I'll go back to gallery view. All right. So, all right. So here we go. We'll start this way and see what happens. Maybe when Jenny starts to speak, we can get her to show up as the speaker. First of all, I want to say, Jenny, I am so thrilled to have you here. I sent out the bio information that you gave to me, and I'm hoping that everybody looked at it. If not, I will be we'll share in the newsletter information about Jenny. There are so many wonderful things. I have been binging on Jenny these last couple of days, and there was a fantastic Google talk about her. And I've watched an amazing podcast in which she talks about the movement going from concept to shows and feature film. I have to use my notes now because I'm trying to record this. I've only got so much room on my screen. But also, she has a dynamite website. You need to go to her website, see what she's doing, see what she has to say. I've also watched some of her episodes of Startup US, which is about entrepreneurs. Jenny will talk about that. And she has, 165 episodes, Jenny? I mean, it's a huge project that's been going on for years, and I got to watch some of those. And my favorite thing, I got lost in the world of The Russian Five, which is an amazing documentary that Jenny has produced. So she has so many stories to tell. And if you haven't read about Jenny, I'm just going to go through, and these are things that I kind of put in blue. Jenny is an award-winning TV and film producer. She's co-founder of Parliament Studios, and we'll get that link for you. She's a lifetime entrepreneur and small business advocate, focusing on empowering women and immigrants in business. She's also been a globe-trotting DJ, Jenny La Femme, which she can talk about. She came with her family from Russia with $100 and 6 suitcases of stuff that she then turned in, with a lot of people's help, the amazing business empire she has today. She's created several corporations. She's traveled as a motivational speaker. That's why she's here tonight. And she's now working on a series of books. So this woman is incredible. And I have so many stories that I've gotten from what I've already seen of her that I'm going to try to get her to talk a little bit more about. So Jenny, welcome, welcome, welcome. And I have a couple of questions, and then maybe that can be sort of your interview. Inspirational talks. How do you start? Where do you start? What do you say? So you're on, Jenny.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That makes me feel so good. If I'm having a bad day for a second, I'm calling you next time.
All right.
I just want to start with expressing my gratitude for you to have me here tonight, and my ability to share my story and meet all the beautiful women in film of Dallas. I always love doing this and meeting all the wonderful women, and I'm here to answer any questions sort of after my talk. I'm going to keep this a little more relevant to my film and television career, because I think that would be of interest to you. You know, I am sort of a person of many different things, because my whole life, I want to start by saying, is basically a series of why nots. People come to me, they say, do you want to do this? I say, why not? And then I end up in all these places. So this is how I got here. So if you don't mind, if I can share my screen, whoever can give me the permission, I have a little bit of a slide deck that I can walk you guys through and show you some of the links to my work, if you don't mind.
Let's
see if talk a little bit about.
Oh, Jenny, we are not going to be able to do that.
Oh, okay.
We don't have this host.
Oh, okay. So whoever is hosting this is not giving you an option. Okay, no problem. So I can send you the links later.
Yes.
And then you guys can just, show them and get to know sort of what that story is. Okay. So I'm going to start a little bit before motivational speaking. So I'll kind of start with, I was born in the Soviet Union, which was, as you can imagine, not a terribly exciting country. So whatever you've seen, how it was black and gray and blue, that was pretty much it. So all the things that I loved, which was music, film, and business, were completely illegal. Okay, so you could only listen to music. It was highly regulated by the government. So it had to be approved by the government. It was mostly Soviet music, or it was from the Eastern Bloc. Film, 100% the same way. If you were actually a filmmaker, you would have to go in front of a Communist Party commission, and you would have to read them your whole entire plot line, and they had to make sure that it lines up with the ideology of the Communist Party. Imagine that. How insane is that? So some film was on a black market, and there was only one guy that dubbed everything. So whether I was watching Freddy Krueger or 9.5 Weeks, it was literally one human being's voice. And he was taking a huge risk by actually doing that, because if they would catch him, he could go to jail. Business, extremely illegal. Again, everything was controlled by the government. So one day when I was about 13 years old, my parents came to me and they said, we're moving to America. I was like, wow. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm 13, I don't know any English. I'm not going to have any friends there. I said, but okay, because I imagined America having sexy people in tall buildings and maybe even money falling from the sky. So after a really long journey, because I didn't come to America by getting on a plane, I had to go to Austria first. I had to go to Italy first. So we were on the road for about 8 months, and we were seeking a refugee status. So in 1989, October 24th, we landed in Detroit. And it was a suburb of Detroit, which had no sexy people at tall buildings, you guys. I mean, that is probably where I learned my first valuable lesson in those years, which was unrealistic expectations always lead to disappointments. I was extremely disappointed standing in that apartment gray building on October 24th in Detroit going, what the hell am I doing here? So from there, we had an apartment for 6 months. We had a little bit of money, and then we were on our own. We basically had to make a life for ourselves in America. So it was a pretty stressful and depressing life. But I did come across a local television series that was called The New Dance Show. And imagine it was a poor man's version of the Soul Train that took place in somebody's basement in Detroit. I was like, wow, but these people were cool. They had the best outfits. They had the best music. I was like, one day I'm going to find these people. And one day I ended up finding these people at the after hours. I was about 17 years old. I walked into this after hours club that played house music, and I fell in love with music. I fell in love with house music. I met a lot of DJs. But back when I was in the Soviet Union, I wanted to be in a music school, and they told me I couldn't do it because it wasn't like in America, you can't pay money. You have to be highly talented to get into any of the schools. So the teacher, as a matter of fact, told me that I will never make it. I will never be in music. I should go do sports or do something else. So eventually I decided I was going to do a party for a Russian speaking community. And people said to me, well, what about who's going to DJ? I was like, I've seen how other people do it. I will do it myself. So it was December 24th. I am Jewish, so I had a captured audience of Jewish people that had nothing to do on Christmas. So I already knew a little bit about marketing. So I threw my first party, and I had 300 people standing in front of me. I had never touched DJ equipment in my whole entire life. So that was something crazy that I did, being very young, but understanding that you have to take chances. You have to take a risk. And what's the worst thing? So I'm going to suck at this. But I'm not going to die. I'm going to wake up the next morning and I'm going to be totally fine, you know? So I threw this party, and that kicked off my DJing career. Eventually, I would become a world-renowned DJ. I would travel the world. My last tour was with actually David Guetta and Akon.
Oh my God.
And I achieved some of the biggest pinnacle of success in that particular industry. But my whole entire life, I've been a serial entrepreneur. So I've always had businesses outside of being a DJ. So once I achieved that pinnacle of success, women started coming to me, and it was the same thing that I was hearing, which was, you're pretty good for a girl. And all of us have heard that, is if we were DJing with some other parts of our body, you know, as opposed to really delivering a performance just like all the other men did. So this woman who became my partner in a project called Girls on Vinyl came to me, and she was throwing parties to give female DJs an opportunity during some of the largest techno festivals and house music festivals, because women were just not getting booked. And it was not for the lack of seeing women and like not having women in this industry. So I had opened my production company at that time. And what I said to her, I said, you know what? I said, forget about doing a party. I said, we need to do a big project worldwide, because I have a voice and I want to use that voice. So that really kicked off me going in and doing a project and traveling across the world and doing a documentary series called Girls Gone Vinyl. Because we all got pretty sick of hearing and being told that we're pretty good for a girl. I ended up taking that project to a Cena Film Festival and touring it around. But the biggest thing that it did is we went viral. We were in Billboard magazine. We were all over the world. And what that project did is it brought a lot of attention to all the festivals to say, hey, why do we only have 4 women out of 100? What is happening, really? Why are we not bringing more women into this industry? Why is this so dominated by men? So that was one of my first forays into doing a documentary project. So gonna be totally honest, I had no idea what I was doing. You know, I picked up a camera, some people picked up a camera, and we just started interviewing all these women. You know, I ended up, I think, getting like 400 hours of footage, which I didn't realize. I thought it was such a good idea to have all this footage. Well, now looking back at this, oh my God, every editor has hated me over the course of this project, of course. So after I was done with my DJing career, I was just kind of sick of it. Every party was a party. I was touring around the world. It was impossible to have a relationship, to have friends. So I was just home in Detroit, and the incentives came to Michigan, the film incentives. And a friend of mine came to me and he said, hey, do you want to open a business around the film industry? I was like, wow, that sounds really exciting. I'm looking for something new to do. That's a great idea. Why don't we do that? So my first company that I opened in this industry was filming in Detroit. And it was a company that was providing extras, cars, and locations to all the big productions that were coming here. I ended up working with Michael Bay on Transformers, AMC, a bunch of really big projects. It did not take me long to realize that's not something that I wanted to do. The hierarchy in the Hollywood productions, kind of, you're at the bottom of the totem pole. I see how people were getting treated at these big productions. I was like, you know what, this is just not for me. I want to be in this business. However, I don't really want to do this. So I ended up closing that company, and I opened what you now know as Parliament Studios, which became a production company. So that production company started off like most production companies start off, which is corporate videos, music videos, brand videos, things of that nature. So that's the work that we were doing. I was still doing some work and getting experience around, bigger Hollywood sets, just to kind of get experience around that. But I never banked anything that I was doing as incentives because they come and they go, and we've seen that happen a lot. So about 10 years ago, a friend of mine who I knew through the techno scene came to my office and he said, do you want to do a television show on entrepreneurship? I know a local PBS guy. They're doing a local PBS show. Why don't we pick up a camera, go interview entrepreneurs around Detroit, and we'll ask them in details all their stories, and we'll become better business people, and we'll have this TV show. So of course I said, why not? As I told you, everything in my life is a series, so why not? So I said, why not? So we picked up some cameras and we shot a pilot. We went to our local PBS station and they told us, wow, this is a great pilot. Why don't you guys go to Chicago and make it regional? We went to Chicago, shot another pilot, came back. They said, this is amazing. We're taking you guys nationally. We're like, wow, we're opening champagne. We're celebrating. But we had no idea what that meant. It was a PBS model. So then they looked at us, they said, now go find the money. We're like, what do you mean go find the money? Where are we going to find this exuberant amount of money to produce a 13-part series of a national television show? They're like, we don't know. I mean, other people have done it somehow. You guys can hire people, you guys can figure it out. So we said, okay, this is a great opportunity. Let's figure this out. Mind you, at that time, I had never asked anybody for more than $25,000 in my life. So now I'm looking for, high six figures going into a 6-7 figure deal at this point. And the show doesn't frankly exist, right? So we did what all the other people would do, try to hire people that said they could get us the money. 6 months went by, nobody got us the money. So then I said, you know what, we got to figure this out. So I went on LinkedIn and I searched everybody I knew who worked for big global corporations that might be interested in small business. I came across a guy who was working at American Express. So I wrote him an email on LinkedIn and I said, I know we haven't talked in 10 years, but can you help me get an exuberant amount of money from American Express? I tell him it's serious. The guy wrote me back and he said, you know what? I met my wife at one of your parties. Let me see if I can help you. He started passing me around the American Express machine. And as I took actually Girls Gone Vinyl to a Athena Film Festival in New York, I got a call from American Express. This woman, Alexa Brand, said, why don't you come see me? I'll leave your name at the door and, come see me for a meeting. So I went into this meeting. I still remember it was February. I'm sitting on the 39th floor of American Express Tower, asking them for $500,000. Inside, I have the worst imposter syndrome going, what am I doing here? Why am I sitting here? Like, who am I? I've never had a television show. This is just crazy. And now I'm at one of the world's largest corporations, asking them for $500,000. So Alexa Brent ended up becoming the first sponsor ever for my television series, which is going into season 10. Me and Alexa Brent are still friends. 2 years ago, she told me why she gave me the money. We went to lunch in New York. She looked at me, she said, do you know why I gave you the money? I said, I have no idea. Honestly, tell me, because I want to know why you'd give somebody who doesn't know jack shit about TV, doesn't have a show, that much money. she's like, you know what? It was something you said. It was so much conviction. She said, I looked at you and you looked at me and you said, I'm a woman of my word. And I promise you, this will be the best investment you'll ever make. So this is what I want you guys to understand about getting money. It is all about you. People don't give you money 90% of the time for the project. They give you money based on your team, your passion, your conviction, and they have to feel like you are going to deliver on that promise. Okay. So, you know, again, American Express comes on. Obviously, when American Express comes on, there's other energy that swirls around it. Of course, we have the confidence. So we ended up getting other huge sponsors. The show ended up getting on the road. So we're filming. And then right in almost towards the end of filming season 1, we get a phone call from PBS and they tell us that they're actually not going to air the show and they're going to pull the show completely off the air because they went on their website and they had found some old pitch deck that was violating FCC guidelines. Because there's very strict FCC guidelines for public television programming. And somehow, I don't know how, we were completely green. I don't know what was in that deck. So we were sitting in a parking lot, completely devastated. My business partner, who is this big American dude, who is the host of the show, was crying and losing his shit. He said, we're going to jail. We'd spend all this money. People are going to sue us. I mean, it was a complete and utter shit show. He did not want to go in and film the person whose parking lot we were sitting in. And I looked at him and I said, you're going to have to get your shit together and we have to go in there and we're going to have to film this person because we made a commitment. And I got to tell you, so we ended up filming that day a guy by the name of L. Baba Baker. So L. Baba Baker held a patent for boneless ribs. Like literally, I didn't even know you can hold a patent for boneless ribs. I didn't know you can hold a patent for taking out bones out of ribs. So it's a small restaurant in Ohio. He holds this patent. We film him. What ended up happening after is Shark Tank used to look at our people. We had a relationship with them and they used to scout people for their show. So they invite El Baba Baker on their show after seeing him on my show. And he becomes the best investment that Damon John has ever made to this day. He ends up blowing up, becoming a bajillionaire. We did a follow-up story with Al. And what he told us is that day, he was only a month away from closing his business almost. He was failing and it was so bad. And the fact that he ended up getting on our show, getting that publicity, getting on Shark Tank literally changed the course of his whole entire life and the life of his family. So I always like to tell people and to talk to people about the fact that what you do has a ripple effect completely and utterly. And it's not just about what is happening in a particular moment. That can ripple into so many places, into so many things that you just don't know what's happening in your life. So Startup Now is a national television program. It's on PBS and Amazon Prime. We're in 45 countries. I just got back from LA with three daytime Emmy nominations. And, you know, it's one of the best things that I've ever done in my life. I absolutely love that show. That's almost a cornerstone. It's sort of my baby. You know, even though I work on a lot of other commercial projects, that project is really there to inspire and educate people about following their dreams. So we just wrapped up season 10. It will premiere this September across all PBS platforms. You can stream us on pbs.org, Amazon Prime, and any of those places. So I apologize, this cough. So one day I was sitting at my office, and I'm sure you've all had these days where somebody is just feeling so overwhelmed when you say to yourself, I am literally not taking on any other projects in my life. So I was having that day. And that day I got a phone call. And the phone call said the following. Some guy's like, hey, listen, I have this director here. He just moved here from Austin, Texas. He's got some project. It's something Russian. You're Russian. Can he come and see you? I said, okay, fine. I said, what's the project? They said it's the Russian 5. And I was like, oh, shit. Like, seriously? Like, I said, I'm not going to take anything else. But this is the Russian 5. And the Russian 5 was very special to Detroit. There were 5 hockey players that, through a series of crazy stories, end up coming to Detroit. Detroit is the hockey town. You know, it's a beautiful story, beautiful film. I actually knew those guys personally. We came to America at the same time. They drove Corvettes. I drove a 1979 Pontiac Bonneville, but they still hung out with us, you know? So I said, okay, fine, let him come and see me. So here comes this like shy American guy who has this dream project for him. And I asked him why he wanted to do it. He tells me the story and I look at him, I said, shit, you know what? I said I wasn't going to take on any other projects, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to go to one person only. And if he gives us the money, I feel like I have to do this project as a part of my legacy. I said, I'll make you a deal. I'm going to one person. It's a lot of money. It's a doc. It's independently produced. I said, I'll do it. So I went to one person only. That one person was an acquaintance, fairly wealthy. He was a hockey agent for only one hockey player at that time. And I pitched him the project and I looked at him. I said, listen, if me and you don't tell the story, it dies. I said, it's a legacy piece for you. It's a legacy piece for me. You know, so he came on board. So we traveled across the world and we made this documentary called The Russian Five. And it was a labor of love. Everything that could have possibly gone wrong went wrong in a post. I had to switch 3 post houses to get this done. I had to get 42 minutes of the NHL footage licensed. And the first call I had with the NHL, they told me absolutely not. They're not licensing me a single minute of that footage. So I had to turn that from a hard no into a yes at a price that was affordable. Also, it was very important for us to get We're the Champions by Queen at a reasonable price. As you can imagine, that's very hard to do. And the reason why we wanted We Are the Champions, not because it was We Are the Champions, but because there's a part in the movie that's very tragic. Somebody's in the hospital in the coma. And the only time he responds to the coma is when he hears We Are the Champions. So I ended up getting that done by actually tweeting Queen and starting a series of conversations with them over Twitter. So, apologize, ladies. So the film was complete. And what happened then, I premiered in Detroit, which was unconventional. Nobody wanted me to do it. They wanted me to premiere at the big festival. I said, I'm not doing it at a big festival. It's a Detroit story. I'm going to premiere at the Detroit Free Press Film Festival, which is where it premiered, with 3,500 people at the theater, sold out in less than 3 days. It was absolutely amazing. I got to tell you, it's spectacular. It was better than anything I would have wanted over TIFF, over Tribeca, over anything, because that was the story of Detroit. So we have this beautiful premiere. I start selling the film. I get distribution from Gunpowder and Sky, you know, fairly big distributor for independent films. We sign the deal, and then they tell me, we're not doing theatrical. We're only going to do digital, straight to DVD. I was like, no. I said, what do you mean? Like, this is a communal experience. This is 5 years of my life. I made this movie to be seen in movie theaters. They're like, absolutely not. We just took a movie out and it was a total disaster. So I told my team of 2.5 people that I'm going to distribute this film in movie theaters. They all laughed at me, and they laughed at me specifically because I had just given birth to my son. So I was breastfeeding a baby. I had a team of 2.5 people, and I said I was going to do theatrical distribution, which probably, I don't know how many independent female producers have ever done that. So I've set out on a very difficult and interesting journey of reverse engineering theatrical distribution. So by now you probably understand what my vibe is. So in 2019, I became one of the top box office documentaries on the circuit, with a team of 2.5 people, breastfeeding a baby, and very limited marketing budget. So I did achieve that dream. That came true. I've seen the film in many full theaters. I've done many events. I have walked on airplanes literally where 90% of the airplane were watching my film, and it was mind blowing. And people would call me and text me, oh my God, I saw your film on Delta. I was like, I'm glad I made a feature film to be seen in large movie theaters so you could watch it on a tiny screen on an airplane, but I'll take that. So it was an incredible journey. It was incredible to be kind of reverse engineering this interesting thing. And really, the lesson here for me has always been I'm not fearless. I think only sociopaths or children are fearless. I always tell people that you have to feel the fear and do it anyways. I feel fear all the time. When I get into projects and I'm like, wow, what am I doing? What's this next level thing? Is this crazy? That might have not been done before. And I feel it, but I'm like, you know what? Why not? What is literally the worst thing that can happen to somebody? So somebody could be like, okay, I failed at this, right? And you pick up the pieces, you learn your lessons, and you just move on, you know? So that's really the project that was a legacy project for me. But again, I worked on some of the biggest Hollywood productions, as you can imagine, as I mentioned, Transformers, AMC Low Winter Sun. I've produced all kinds of things. But for me at this point, it's all about my mission in life is to help people become better versions of themselves through storytelling. So whether I'm doing it through my content that I'm creating, whether I'm DJing because DJs also tell stories, I still play music because I love it, or whether it's my motivational speaking, which is now I'm kicking off that career and I enjoy that very much because I want to see something click with people. I want to inspire people. I want them to understand that every single one of the people that is sitting here today is extremely talented and every single person is unique. And all of you ladies are no different than me. And if I can come here literally with $100 and 6 suitcases and end up in all of the places that I've ended up, anyone can do it. And anything is really truly possible. And that's my like really core belief in this life.
Jenny, I have two things that I'd love for you to talk about.
Mhm.
One is when I listen to you, when I watch you, when I see your work, Detroit is such a huge part of it. I don't know that your life would be what it is now without the city of Detroit. And I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that because we're in Dallas,
Yep.
a city that has a unique identity. And my God, I wish we could learn to utilize the city in the way that you have. So can you talk at all about that? How Detroit has been a source for you?
Sure, absolutely. And, you know, a lot of people, of course, have said it. How are you going to make a career in film and television being in Detroit? We're one of the very few people that come out of here that produce and continue to produce national television series or films that haven't moved to LA and New York. I fully recognize that. And, you know, a lot of times people ask me, had I moved to LA, where do I think it would be? And I think it would have probably been a different path with my ability to network, make deals, and meet people. Sure, I could have ended up in different places, probably bigger dollars, bigger projects, but I'm never motivated by money. That's not my goal. I don't really care. You know, I have enough for a beautiful life that I've built with my family, and that never drives me. Detroit is a very special place for me, right? It's a city that gave me my second home. It's a city where I made a life for myself. And I always tell people this, I could live anywhere in the world. I choose to live here. Really, I'm fine. I could go anywhere and be anywhere. And it's an incredible source of inspiration. And the reason being is there is a creative hub here of beautiful people. And those people feed the energy. And I think you have to embrace every place that you are. And you have to draw your inspiration from the place where you are. I mean, this place is incredible history. This place has a history of completely dying and resurrecting itself, right? But I also like to say it was never really dead because the culture was still here. It was underground. I was here in the early 90s. My studio had no streetlights. And now that's one of the biggest emerging places in Detroit, right? But everything is a choice, right? When you look around you, if you have gratitude, you can find inspiration in anything. Absolutely anything.
Okay, my second question, and then I'll turn it over to the room is, you talked about having a team of 2.5, and in I think in one of the podcasts you do, you were talking about how you kept your team together, and you told a story about the horse ranch or horse place that you went to. And I thought that was incredible. So can you tell that? Because it was such an oh wow moment for you. And as I was listening to you talk about that, when you had to make the horse run,
Yeah.
I went, oh wow, that was a great lesson for me. So can you share that with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I continuously, my only competition in life is myself. That's how I view competition. I don't really, other people inspire me. I like to see what they're doing, but I never compete with anybody but myself. Every day I think about how can I be better than I was yesterday? Even if it's 1%, imagine what kind of improvement you can make in your life overall. So during season 4 of Startup, we were doing the West Coast, and somebody pitched me this business. And it was learning leadership and learning about yourself through interaction with a horse herd. And I was like, sounds interesting, sounds different, but is it frankly bullshit? I was like, what am I going to learn from a horse, right? So this was about 6 years ago. I was in a completely different style of leadership then. I was very like alpha, task driven, all of it, right? I'm a go-getter. I can do it all. So we show up at this horse farm. It's in California. And she's like, okay, your whole entire team, and the team that should start up is bigger than 2.5, which I had on Russian 5. It's about 6 or 7 people that travel with us. And she says, she gives us a series of assignments. And one of them was, you have to go inside a horse pen. She shows us how to make the horse run. And then she's like, now you do that. So I walk into this horse pen and I'm like, come on, horse, let's run. And I'm repeating everything this woman is doing, but the horse is just staring at me, not moving. So this woman pulls me aside and she says, do you know why the horse is not running? I'm like, I have no idea. She's like, because you never made a connection with the horse. You walked in there like the person that you are because that's your leadership style. But horses are like humans. You must ask them how they are, what their name is. You must make a connection. Like you have to have this interaction with the horse in order for the horse to do what you wanted to do. And it was so simple, but for me, it was eye-opening because I started thinking about how I walked into my office and how I approached my team. And yes, everybody liked me and everybody did a great job. I'm like, but am I really being a good leader of my team? I now never walk into my office without having a conversation with somebody first and being present about who they are, how they are, and any of that. And it was very interesting because every member of my team made a very different interaction with that horse. The weakest person on my team could never make the horse run because he was the weakest person on my team. And I watched that thing develop. And it was absolutely incredible how much you can learn about yourself through interaction with horses. And ever since then, but mostly because I joined. So I am currently a president of EO, Detroit chapter, which is the world's leading organization of entrepreneurs, because I still continue to be a serial entrepreneur. And this is where I learned everything about leadership skills, style, leading with emotional intelligence, leading from your heart, and leading from other places. So my teams are very, very different now.
Thank you. I love that story. I'm wondering if there's anyone there. I have more things that I can ask, but I'm wondering if anybody in the room has a question that they might like to ask of the
And I wouldn't mind seeing everybody's faces. You guys don't have to.
All right, bring your faces back.
I think that's better since I'm not a speaker. I'd love to
Bring yours back.
Yeah.
Jenny, hi, my name is Shirley, and thank you for your share. I actually just joined EO Accelerator Program here in Dallas.
Amazing. Congratulations. You'll be at $1 million in no time.
I'm excited. It seems great. I got to talk to you more offline about that.
Absolutely. Anytime. So EO for me has taken my life from here to here exponentially. I owe probably majority of me 10xing my business and my life to that incredible organization.
That's awesome.
Are you in Detroit or Dallas?
I'm in Detroit.
Okay.
I'm the president of the Detroit chapter.
Got it.
But I know quite a few people in Dallas, actually.
Yeah, I actually found Jenny through a contact in marketing who just loves and admires your podcasts. And I saw your Google talk as well. And that was so, the way I related to that personally is I grew up on a farm in Brookville, Ohio, and there really wasn't much to do. And so we ended up just being creative, just trying to find something, like anything to do to like entertain our minds. Because I didn't grow up with a lot of like movies, or I mean, my family was, poor generally speaking. But I think the only thing we had was like Saturday morning cartoons, and then I just started writing, singing, and trying to find different ways to work. And you were kind of similar in the sense that I remember you were talking about fun games that you would play and invent.
Yep.
To try and entertain yourself. And one thing that you said that stuck with me was what was it? It was like the absence of something. What could you say it? I don't want to butcher it.
Yeah. Sure. 1 second. That's actually, yeah. So I do like my full talk, is like when I do my full talk. So absence of choice always sparks creativity,
Thank
right?
you.
Like I talk about growing up in the Soviet Union while everybody here was playing video games. We literally had a stick and a can, and we had to get creative, right? So our imagination would always go. And it's actually interesting now to see my mother play with my child.
Oh.
Because she makes him play all these imagination games. She will do that in a heartbeat over any iPad, over any kind of cartoons, over anything.
That's awesome.
And I watch them play, and I'm so grateful that I have that, because I don't see a lot of people play like that.
Yeah.
Like the imagination part of it. And, from scientific research, majority of children's imagination gets extremely stifled in schools. There was actually research done. The further they go in school, the more boundaries are set around the way they behave. That's what really kills a lot of this imagination and creativity. Because the minute you color outside the lines, or your tree is not green, what do people do? They're like, don't do that. So I'm extremely conscious with my child to be like, it could be any color. It could be any shape. It could be anything you want it to be. Because I feel like that is the only way you sort of unlearn this consistent thing where people tell you it shouldn't be this way because they feel it shouldn't. Why shouldn't it be this way? Right? It's just
right. Yeah, that's so great, and I love that story with your mom as well.
I like your quote that you just said. The absence of choice is, what'd you say, the basis of creativity, or the
sparks creativity. The absence of choice sparks creativity in that context. Absolutely.
I just listened to Ryan Reynolds speak, and he said, and somebody said, well, but I have limits. And he said, oh, I love limits. That's where I'm the most creative. And he was talking about getting Deadpool made, that nobody wanted to make it. But then he had some hits, and they said, okay, we'll do it for you. But they didn't give him any budget for it. And so they had to be creative because they didn't have the money to do all the things that the other, big comic book characters
I
did.
love projects like this. So I did a project called Cash Only in Detroit with very limited, it became Cash Only. So with a very limited budget, and we had this one scene where we had a room full of marijuana. It was actually, it's legal in Detroit. So we had this one scene. It was actually more expensive for me to get fake weed than the real weed into that room. So I was like, okay, we got to do what we got to do. This is legal in the state. We're going to find out. And everybody's looking at me. They're like, you're crazy. How we're going to put like so many plants? I was like, I don't know. Let's figure this out. I said, if it's cheaper to bring these plants in here than to buy this fake weed to make it look real, we're going to have to do that. Oh, that was a closed set for us.
I wanted to say that I really needed to hear this today because I just took on a project where I was going to be doing just makeup and hair and helping out with wardrobe, which I can do blind with my hands tied behind my back. And they started talking to me about production designer, and it's a small script. It's like 10 pages, but still, it's like a room full of snakes, extracting venom from a snake. We need a huge 18-wheeler and a boat and all these things. And I got off I took the makeup and the hair job, and I got off the phone with her. And then I made like 2 phone calls. And 5 minutes later, I was like, I've got your snakes. I've got your truck. What are the specs on the boat? And she just said, so you're going to be the production designer now. And I was like, yes, I will be the production designer now. And so what you just said, I really, well, why not? I mean, I took a risk. I'm a little nervous about it. I'll be honest. It's with a director that I really want to, continue a relationship with. So I just needed to hear that. So thank you so much. That inspired me. And then I love your accent so much. I want to bottle it up, and I teach voice to acting students, and I would love to just use that as a reference, of course. But let me ask you, do you think maybe people take you a little bit more seriously because you have this beautiful Russian dialect?
I have no idea. When I just came to America, I really wanted to get rid of it because people were just so mean to us. Oh my God. And it's so hard to get rid of an accent if you continue to speak your language. I don't know, with everything that's happening right now in the world, we actually had a bunch of deals pulled on the Russian 5. I gotta tell you, so my wife is from Ukraine. I am from Russia.
Wow.
We've actually employed Ukrainians on most of our productions. If you watch the Russian 5, everything you see in animation is done out of Ukraine.
That's amazing.
When the war started, we took it upon ourselves to continue to do the work and to help the people there. We've rescued quite a few people. We launched a nonprofit called realhelpforukraine.org. So we've done quite a bit. So believe it or not, having a Russian accent right now is probably not a good thing. But to your point, do people take you seriously? I think everything is about how you deliver yourself. Because this business, I gotta tell you, for every fight I went to with every theater chain owner that told me, I did not understand that world. I did not know what kind of wars and turf wars these people have with each other. I've had people threaten me to pull my film. I've had people ask me if they could talk to my male counterpart. I was like, you think he makes decisions more than I do? I said, he works for me. So I think it's just consistently delivering yourself in a certain way. And listen, you took a risk, you took on this thing. What I want people to understand most of the time, everything we do is freaking common sense.
Yeah.
Right? It's not rocket science. We're not heart surgeons. We're not fixing somebody's brain. It's literally our jobs most of the time are common sense and having the balls to pick up the phone and make those phone calls, right? It's like, you found the snakes in the truck. Okay, you got this job. What's next, right? What else you got for me? Like, how can you challenge me? I'm always up for a challenge. I once filmed they wanted to film in the mall. I was like, a mall? Shit, where do I find them? I found the mall. Because I was challenged. Like, you want me to find the mall and get in the mall to film this Gucci thing that you're doing? Okay, let's go find the mall, I guess, So I don't know if the accent helps. I think it's just, I consistently show up with this demeanor that I will get the shit done.
Yeah.
And when you show up like that, people, it's contagious, right? When you show up and you're like, I'm doing this, it's not a maybe. It's I am doing this unequivocally. I don't know how inside. I have no idea how I'm going to do this, but I'm doing this. And that's what I think sells most people.
Awesome. Thank you. And yes, I love your presence is very lovely and empowering and awesome. So appreciate that.
Thank you.
So it's open for questions. Does anyone want
I got one.
Yes.
So you're touching my heart of small businesses. I'm if I could be a serial entrepreneur, I would be. I did a women's enterprise program in England, and pitching a movie, a script, Is it so different from pitching a small business? Is it more visual? Is it, since you're dabbling in both?
So with pitching, I mean, number one thing I always tell people, you cannot have you when you walk into the room, you must be able to answer every question that you're asked. Like that is so important. Like nothing should be maybe, nothing should be like, let me think about it and get back to you on that, right? So in a sense, it's the same, right? Visual, yes, 100% important for you to flush out what it is on a screen. One thing I always tell people, most of the time, people have too many words and too much content. Like the hardest thing in the world is to make something simple. It sounds weird, but it's true. Most of the time, and when I went to Global Speakers Academy, I wanted to be a motivational speaker. The first thing that the guy said to us, and he was absolutely right, he said, all of you have way too much content. I guarantee you, by the time we're done here, you will understand that. And he was so right. He was absolutely right. So it's like being concise, being simple, answering all of the questions, and pitching it in a way where you're like, I know what I'm doing. I know my shit. You know, and always assembling the right team, right? I bring already an assembled team to all my pitches. I'm like, it's not a maybe. This is the person's going to be doing X, Y, and Z, which is very much like pitching a startup.
Okay. Excellent.
You know,
Thank you, babe.
in this business, of course, it's like, you know, the problem in this business, you know, in a PBS model is very different than a traditional. Like I have an agent. If I want to do something in a true network space, I send her a show, then she sets up this pitch meetings. When you get into those rooms, unfortunately, half of the time, I feel like they're making the decisions based on who they had lunch with yesterday. And that's like my God honest feeling about how half of the time this happens. Like today they want this, tomorrow they want this, right? And it's like there's no rhyme or reason. Right. So sometimes logic is also not, you got to throw some logic out of there, right? Because it's like, okay, well, now this is hot. Now this is good, you know? So I also like to control my own content. I like to own my own content. That's why I like the PBS model, you know, because 10 seasons in, I'm now leveraging, owning all that content. So I'm selling it all over the place, right? Like I just did a deal with Entrepreneur Magazine. They launched a streaming network. I'm the cornerstone of their show, of their network, right? Because the problem of getting into a lot of networks is, and taking money from them is they decide what happens to your content. Whoever pays controls the narrative.
Good point.
Thank you, Jenny.
My pleasure.
I have a follow-up question on that. You mentioned the PBS has like you like their program, or what's the right term for it? They have distribution model. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so like in a traditional network space, right? You pitch the show. Like I had a show on HDTV. I found the talent, right? I made a little sizzle. I made a tape. You know, no big deal on the phone, doesn't matter. I take it to my agent. Actually, you know what? I didn't even have an agent then. We just left William Morris Endeavor. That's one other thing. I email people direct. I cold email people all the time at the highest level, because you'd be surprised how many people don't email people at the highest level of the game, because everybody's afraid to approach them. So I cold emailed Sarah Cuban that was running HDTV. She was like, oh my God, he's great. You know, they gave me the money to produce the pilot. We produce the pilot. We test the pilot. It rates through the roof. She gives us some money to do another episode. We do it. Then the guy freaks out, gets a big egotistical head, takes out a bunch of billboards in his town that nobody's ever heard of, and kind of starts blowing up our deal with HDTV. So I ended up selling that project to HDTV, walking away because I was actually pregnant. And he was like sucking my blood, and I don't do that. I was like, nobody is worth it.
Yeah.
I was like, you are going to be a nobody. I've seen this before. Good luck to you. Bye. See you later. So like in a traditional model, so he never became a star. Because if he had a problem with me and I'm super nice, if they brought another production company there, which they did, that blew up, right? So there's no more show because they don't want to deal with it, right? PBS model. Yes, I have to find the money. Yes, I have to finance my own content through corporate sponsorship. I get my placement on PBS because of the years of experience that I have, and the content is good. But they never take me off the air. Every year I'm on. I'm in prime time or early fringe. And that's it, right? Like, let's say I raise $1 million and make a show for $500,000, whatever, it doesn't matter. The rest is profit. So basically, the way it works, if you can get into their system and your content is good enough, and you can figure out how to bring corporate sponsors or foundation on board to finance your content, you own it 100%, and you continue to license it.
That's awesome. Cool. Thank you for answering. Appreciate it.
Well, it is 10 after 8 o'clock, which if there are no last questions, we will kind of wrap up and thank Jenny again so much for your time. I'm sure we could all have conversations all night long. I do have one last question, and because you've had so much success, and we know when one door closes, another door opens kind of thing, usually in this industry. Can you tell me about your favorite mistake or your favorite, the one thing that maybe pushed you in a different direction?
My favorite mistake in a film industry, you mean?
Yeah.
Favorite mistake in a film industry. Ooh, that's a good one. Nobody's ever asked me that before. I don't know. You know what? Sometimes you just got to walk away from projects. You know, but it just happened to me, actually. It's not a favorite mistake, but like, I'll share this and I'll think about the mistake, actually. Thank you for bringing that up. I've made a lot of mistakes, tons of them, actually. All the time I make mistakes. But I just walked away from a project that I really wanted to do like 2 weeks ago. I went and shot this beautiful sizzle. It was with Anna's Freedom Cantor. I don't know if you guys know who he is. He's a humanitarian. He's a basketball player that's been calling out China over human rights abuses. He's wanted, like, people just want to kill him, totally right up my alley. Because he's doing amazing work around humanitarian work, which I love to do. So we got some FaceTime with him, shot this in Cleveland, started taking this out, and we were doing a co-production with Soul Shop, and they made me feel like they got this covered and they're going to get the money and everything was fine. So we're at the tail end of this and we're supposed to go to Israel. And the project is we're filming Christian, Muslim, and Jewish kids in Jerusalem playing basketball to show the world if they can play basketball together and share basketball, we can all coexist. I mean, it doesn't get much better. Dream project for me. So we're getting towards like, we got to go. And these kids that I'm doing a project with, they're like, oh, we got this money, we got this covered. So it turns out they don't have the money. So last minute, I am forced to be like, oh my God, now we got to get this exuberant amount of money. Not my first rodeo. But the guy is untouchable because anybody who does business with China won't touch him. Because literally, he pissed them off so much that when he played for the Celtics, the Chinese pulled every Celtics game. So now no traditional streamers want to touch it. Nobody wants to touch it. So I go to some foundations, and while I'm going to these foundations to try to get the money, I start getting calls from the FBI from special agents stating that they cannot at 100% certainty guarantee our safety when we are traveling to Israel, or as a matter of fact, once we arrive there. So now I'm in this like really deep conversations, how we're not allowed to, share the itinerary. So at this point, I'm just sitting there. Here's a dream project that I really want to do because I believe in this. Special agent FBI, I cannot fully guarantee your safety. I have a child. My wife is currently pregnant, actually. We're having twins.
Oh my gosh, that is so
thank
cool.
you.
Congratulations.
So I had to make a very difficult choice. And I had to let go of this project because my last phone call with the guy, my director wouldn't go without me. And I called the FBI one last time. I said, like, at what point can you guarantee my safety? They're like, nope, not at 100%. I had to walk away. Because there's just some things that are just not going to be worth it, no matter how great they look, maybe on paper. And I was sad about it, trust me. So they're not doing a project, they're doing some verticals for, whatever they're doing it for. And I was watching him, he did end up going, they figured something out to guarantee his safety personally. But I was watching it, I was like, wow, that would have been lovely to be there. But that's just what it is. Sometimes doors just don't align with where we are or who we are, and you just got to let it go.
All right. Round of applause for Jenny. Thank you so much, Jenny. You are welcome to stay to hear the end of our meeting, but if not, then you are free to go, and just thank you so much. I'm going to walk into this project with so much more confidence.
Ladies. I appreciate each and every one of you. Please feel free to email me. I sincerely mean it. I answer all my emails all the time. If you have any questions, and when I'm in Dallas next with some EO stuff, I'll definitely try to connect with some of you for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, Gail, can you make sure that gets in the chat for us?
I've already put a couple of links in there, and I will add her personal information. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Take care.
Good luck
Thank
with the
you so
twins.
much. Good luck with everything. Thank you so much, Jenny.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. All right.
Okay,
I'll stop recording maybe so I can more
we'll
easily
also see if
type this in
which,
here.
by the way, I have control now, and I can screen share and I can record all the things. So,
Oh, did you record just in case?
no, because it was halfway through the meeting.